two things to consider if you're not living out your soul's purpose right now is, first and foremost, how many times in life have you put something on your to-do list and never got around to it? In January, I'm going to start eating healthy. In January, I'm going to start that workout routine. Next year, I want to upgrade my car, or and time just erodes, and like we just get sucked into like kind of coasting through and checking the boxes and making sure dinner's ready and getting, my daughter here or this and that. And we just kind of get like pulled in. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden we look back and be like, I remember when I was 22 and I told myself by the time I'm 30, I want this, and it never happened. Yep. So if you're sitting there saying like, when I retire, I want to do this, are you actually going to do it? Like, what actions are you taking right now to ensure that that's the case? And if that's the case, if you want to retire more when you're 65, or I'm sorry, if you want to travel more when you're 65, how about we just start traveling now? Right. What's keeping you from that? And then the other, that's one thought, like, if later, why not now? And the other piece to that is, if we get to the end of our life and I had this thing inside of me, this unique, silly, irresponsible, like weird, unique thing that I just felt I had to accomplish, and I was called to do this. Mm-hmm. I was created to do this. I'm here on this earth, and I alone can do it this way perfectly. If I get to the end of my life and it's not done, you just have to tell yourself, there's no reset button. There's no starting over. You got there and you just wasted that opportunity. We're going to jump in. This is a big topic. And if you can't tell, over at least the tail end of December and all of January, everything that we've been talking about has largely been communicating the idea that your unique goals are so critical. Knowing who you are, understanding like what you're passionate about, like what makes you just like become filled with enthusiasm for life. What fills your cup? What makes you so excited that you just want to you need to tell people about it. We've been talking about this. We've had like all kinds of various content. We've talked about.
We've been talking about it is because we run into it on a daily basis with our clients.
And people are just really bad. People are so bad at it. We've put out content around setting goals. I put out like this study where I actually read like scientific research, neurologists put out these studies. I compiled some stuff and we put it out on like, what are some things that we can understand about the human brain to help us be more successful in setting and accomplishing goals. We've talked about, again, more scientifically backed brain hacks, quote unquote, to increase your odds of success. We've talked about the financial order of operations, which largely like says, okay, if I want to get to this point in life, like I need to start here. This is the correct order to try to accomplish things in from a macro standpoint. Mm-hmm. We've talked about the difference of defining our goals based on like the idea, on the foundation of having enough versus on this like notion of quote unquote getting ahead.
Path of trying to get ahead.
And so we've discussed all these things, and every time I have echoed that we are terrible at setting goals, of defining our goals, and of being unique. And it's just so frustrating in our job when we're talking to somebody and you just know that the goals that they're telling you
are not their true goals.
It's nothing personal. Like They're telling you what they think I want to hear, what they think you want to hear. Oh, let's talk about retirement because I'm talking to a retirement planning specialist, right?
Yep.
Let's talk about 529s because I'm in front of a financial advisor and I have a kid at home. No, like I want to know your goal. Like forget everything else you've ever been told to think. Come talk to me about what you want to accomplish in your life. What
are you passionate about?
If you get to the end of end of your life, like when you get to the end of your life, what is it that you hope people are remembering about you? Is it how good of a friend you were, how reliable you were, how much you gave, how much you poured into a specific craft, or how excellent did you change something about the profession you were in? Did you impact people's lives? Like, what is it that you want to be remembered about? We need to start making sure that whatever goal we set only edifies like that ending, that vision that you have for your life and your memory, your legacy.
Yep.
There's been a term that I've used a lot of that talks about intellectual borrowing, because we borrow so much of, we think we want something, but it turns out we're only seeing it in other places. We want, retirement at 65. That's a really arbitrary number, except for the fact that the government tells us all the time that that's about the right time to retire.
Yep.
Right. And what happens when people are like, oh, I want to be, financially successful and I want to hit that financial freedom and I want to do all these things and I want to retire early. I want to retire at 50. Why is 55 the early age?
Right.
Right.
Yep.
It's because we're borrowing all this stuff, and it's like, and that's fine. Borrowing goals, when they actually do align with our heart, is wonderful, but you have to make sure it's yours.
Going along with the age 65 and as the basic retirement age, and 55 being early, and why is that early? One quote that I heard a long time ago is, if you set a goal that you want to do something in 5 years, like let's say, all right, 5 years, I want to do this. Fast forward that goal and say, I want to do this in a year. And no matter what, because you're going to fail along the way, but you're going to be 8 steps closer than that person that had that goal for 5 years.
Well, and I think the big takeaway for me,
that was a really cool statement that I heard, and it kind of changed the way I think about stuff too. It's like, all right, if my goal is to do this in 10 years, why don't I just shorten it and make it 5? Well,
the other side of that same stick is, like, if you have a long-term goal, it's long-term because it's a grand goal. What action are you taking today?
Right.
That's my takeaway, is like, sometimes we tell ourselves we have 5 years for this goal or 10 years for this goal. So we're like, oh, I can get to that next.
Right. Procrastination.
Do we ever actually get to it? Yep. And that, before we jump into some of that, like, I really, like, why do you think we meet so many people that have kind of basic goals instead of those audacious like, I talk to people all the time that, like, if I dig through the layers, they're like, oh man, like, if I could do anything, I would solve, world hunger, right? Like, if I could do anything, then I would do this grand thing. Well, why are you not doing that?
Right.
So what do you think it is that's making people be basic instead of grand?
I think that's the easy way out. They really don't have to dig in deep and, like, open up things about themselves that they may not want to open doors to, or something. Like, it just stops them from taking that extra step to go a little bit further and say, what am I really passionate about? I know I like cars, but what am I really passionate about? And maybe it's, you get, enough cars where you can go to Barrett Jackson and you sell your cars at Barrett, but all the money goes to a charity. I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing, but people don't take that extra step to dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah. And I think there's the fear aspect, right?
Fear of failure is huge.
I don't want to really tell anybody this because I feel silly.
Right.
It's unique.
I think that's a big part of it too.
That's what unique means. It means it's silly to a lot of other people.
Right.
This is just my thing.
It might not make sense to other people, but if it makes sense to you,
right.
Go after it.
It's fear of what other people will, how we'll be judged. It's fear of failure. Like if this is the most critical thing in my life, if I have to be this person, or if I have to accomplish these things and I don't, then what was it all for? So we have a bit of a fear of failure, fear of acceptance, fear of getting it done. We don't know where to start. It's overwhelming. So there's a lot of anxiety there. But to your point too, past the fear, some people are, I'm not afraid. Okay, past the fear, you just have to set aside time, because like I said earlier, this stuff is hard work. It's hard analysis to separate your brain space from the noise. And to realize, okay, I've been borrowing this goal. I've been borrowing this idea. I've been borrowing this from other people. That's not me. I'm not super passionate about that. You have to be able to dig through the layers and put in the time. And a lot of people don't have time. The other piece is like,
well, people have time. It's just, what are they willing to sacrifice?
True.
Because you hear about these stories all the time with these guys, their schedules are just absolutely insane. Like, I look at it and I was like, how in the world does he do that? And they do it day in and day out. But what I can guarantee is they didn't start with that schedule. They started with a micro version of that,
right,
and then worked their way to that.
Right. The other piece for me, and something that I fought for a long time when we were launching Harpeth Wealth, like I went from a guaranteed check for the military to a pretty safe W-2 gig,
right,
at another firm, kind of corporate-y.
Yep.
And that was the safe. And I have a kid at home, right? I'm a single dad, have a kid at home. I have a lot of responsibility there. So when I started talking to people about launching my own company,
they thought you were nuts.
They like there's this idea of, well, are you sure that's the responsible thing to do?
Right.
You know, you have obligations and you have to make sure. So like, people are going to be afraid for us, and sometimes that can come across where, like, I was diagnosing myself at some points as like I was fighting the feeling of being irresponsible. Like, am I being a bad dad by pursuing this right now?
Yep.
And it was scary, and you know, kind of just to spoil things for everyone. Like, we've done it, and my daughter's better off now because of the decisions I've made.
I was about to ask you, because you are a father. So, you know, when parents always tell their kids, you can be anything in the world that you want to be, right?
Yeah.
And then your kid looks up to you and you didn't go chase your dreams. So what do they have to look at? But if they see, like, if Ellie sees you went and chased your dreams, you went and started your own deal, and now she's like, oh, I can do anything. Does that have a huge impact on kids? I mean, I feel like
it has
that
to,
happens all the time with parents. Is they're like, you can be anything you want, but then they're not chasing their own passion.
I have a drawing on our social where it's like I do stick man drawings and stuff, but it's this guy sitting down at a desk, and you can like kind of see him staring at a computer screen, and I put like the stressed out marks around him. He's stressed, he's looking, and behind him is a door, and you can see his little kid poking his eyes around the door and seeing his dad stressed out at the computer. And it just says, what are we teaching our kids versus what we think? What are you teaching your children versus what you think you're teaching your children?
Or what they see.
Like, we go in and we talk about our kids doing this and being great, and we affirm them and we do all these things, but then we go home and we're stressed out because we're not being fulfilled at work, or we're complaining because we're not doing what we know we would be filled up by doing.
Right.
So yeah, it's absolutely impactful, and kids pick up on that, and you have to show that bravery. If you want your kids to be brave, you need to be brave. Right. So there's going to be haters. There's going to be peer pressure. There's going to be all these things. Why are we not digging in and finding out, it's time, it's fear, it's judgment, it's, our own distractions. It's all these things. My biggest thing is like, if we polled everybody listening, and please respond, like send us an email, because I would love to hear your stories. It just helps us get way more personal on this content. how many people right now that are listening are like living your actual dream? Like you are passionate about something, your heart gets filled off of something. What's your heart's desire? And that is occurring in your life right now. You are working towards it actively, or it's already being fulfilled. I posted something on my Facebook page the other day that was just a question of like, when's the last time what was your last compliment you received? And you could tell people, like I could almost guess what people are passionate about because of the last compliment they remember getting.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like jumped out at me that so many people actually are in some way living part or some or most of their passion, but so many people are not.
Yep.
And you could see the difference just in how they responded to that simple question by the last compliment they received, right? So like how many people listening right now are truly living their purpose? And if you are, Josh, are you like in a place where you are doing what you feel like it fills your cup to do what you do?
Yeah.
And if so, like when do you want to quit doing this?
Now it took me, 15 years to find this.
It's a journey.
It took that long to figure this out. But once I found it and I saw the impact and I came home and I was like, man, that was a good day. Like, and that happens over and over again. You know that you found your right passion.
Well, and it's a journey. And I would argue too, that even when you're on that path, like it continually becomes more and more refined, right? Like it evolves over time. Like we're going to learn and we're going to get better about like, not only do I like to serve people, but I like to serve this type of person.
Yep.
And when I'm serving this type of person, I really like to serve this type of person when they're going through these moments. So like it's a continual evolutionary process of like realizing more and more what fills our cup. But the evolutionary process is just get deeper and deeper and more entrenched in it.
Yep.
Like, when do you want to quit doing this?
I like the saying refining.
When do you want to quit doing this?
I never have to quit.
That's part of my.
There's no retirement in my mind. It's this job can go until I'm in the grave.
And that's the funny thing, right?
As my brain works.
Yeah, I mean, there's things that can happen in life where we won't be able to work anymore, and we need to be prepared for those moments. But if you're truly living your heart's purpose, your soul purpose in life,
right. You're not working to an end.
Yeah, you're being filled, right? And so I think the biggest challenge here is, and that's a challenge for me, that's a conflict almost, because when people come in and they want to talk about retirement, I'm like, okay, well, you want to quit doing what you love to do? Oh no, I don't love my job. Then why are you doing your job?
Right.
Well, it's a means to an end. Means to what end? Here's what I wrote this down. I said, 2 things to consider if you're not living out your soul's purpose right now is, first and foremost, how many times in life have you put something on your to-do list and never got around to it? In January, I'm going to start eating healthy. In January, I'm going to start that workout routine. Next year, I want to upgrade my car, and time just erodes, and like we just get sucked into like kind of coasting through and checking the boxes and making sure dinner's ready and getting, my daughter here or this and that. And we just kind of get like pulled in.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden we look back and be like, I remember when I was 22 and I told myself by the time I'm 30, I want this, and it never happened.
Yep.
So if you're sitting there saying like, when I retire, I want to do this, are you actually going to do it? Like, what actions are you taking right now to ensure that that's the case? And if that's the case, if you want to retire more when you're 65, or I'm sorry, if you want to travel more when you're 65, how about we just start traveling now?
Right.
Right. What's keeping you from that? And then the other, that's one thought. Like, if later, why not now? And the other piece to that is, if we get to the end of our life and I had this thing inside of me, this unique, silly, irresponsible, like weird, unique thing that I just felt I had to accomplish, and I was called to do this. Mm-hmm. I was created to do this. I'm here on this earth, and I alone can do it this way perfectly. if I get to the end of my life and it's not done, you just have to tell yourself there's no reset button. There's no starting over. You got there and you just wasted that opportunity. You wasted the opportunity to be that person to so many people. And so those are the two biggest things that I need everybody to just sit and think and chew on is if later, why not now? And just help me help you to not be at the end and realize I never got it done because there's no reset button. If you have a passion, if you have a purpose, if your cup's filled up, I love conversations. I love helping people. I love conversations with people. I love just listening and being like just curious and asking questions about these people's lives that I have the opportunity to sit down across from. Mm-hmm. I love it. I go home full if I've had a great conversation with someone and I get to spill that fullness over into my daughter's life. Yep. It's just better. So if you're passionate about something, what are you doing to make sure that that is a part of your daily routine? And there's two outcomes there. One, you're just putting it off and you can do it right now. The other kind of more, I don't know, impact, like the other one that's a little bit more of a mountain to cross is when what I'm doing right now is actually in conflict with what my heart's desire is, right? Like if I have an 8 to 5 job, if my heart's passion is to have conversations and help people, but my 8 to 5 job has me like sitting in an isolated booth in front of a computer, just like crunching numbers or whatever, then my job is actually keeping me away from enriching people's lives, being enriched. That's a process that we need to undo, and we need to get into a new role because you're going to be more successful if you can do what you're passionate about. And either one of those things, either I'm not doing it and I can start now, or I'm not doing it and I can't start now. Both of them start with the simple first step, right? This week's email in our email series, the Sunday series, is all about micro actions. And I was telling Josh, like you can kind of understand this because when I was telling you the story, when I want to, like on busy weeks, like the first thing that I get tired of doing quickly is going to the gym. Mm-hmm. If I look at my calendar, I can already know, hey, on Tuesday this week, getting to the gym is going to be the hardest thing in the world.
I'm skipping that day.
Like I just want that extra 30 minutes of sleep.
Yeah.
So what I've done, like a contract I have with myself is every day I get up, I put gym clothes on, and even to include my gym shoes. Like I get completely dressed for the gym and I walk over to the gym. Okay. Or, like I drive over to the gym, like 2 minutes away.
Yep.
If I get to the gym and I still don't want to work out, I'm fine. I'll go home. But what happens? I get into the gym and I tell I see the treadmills and I'm like, man, I know if I just get on that treadmill for 10 or 15 minutes, I will feel better.
Yep.
So I do because I'm there. And then what happens? I leave the gym, even if it was only 10 minutes on the treadmill, right? I get home and instead of like the microwave breakfast burrito or the donuts or the Cocoa Puffs, I fry up a couple eggs or drink a protein shake, hit a protein bar, banana. And then what happens? My body's going in the right direction.
Well,
I get to work.
Multiple things just by putting your gym clothes on. That's one.
That's the micro action.
Go to the gym. That's the second accomplishment. The third accomplishment is eating healthy because you just got through working out and you don't want to put crap in your body at that point.
And then I get to work.
Then you get to work. Now you're energized and you're up and you're happy.
And I have a productive day.
Yep.
And I'm feeling successful. I'm feeling good, so I can have better conversations with people. Right.
And then that snowballs.
So that one little decision, the one micro action of put my gym clothes on and go to the gym.
Yep.
It's not some daunting, lose 12 pounds in 12 days or run a marathon in 6 months. Like it's not overwhelming. I will be successful in my physical fitness if I just put my gym clothes on and go to the gym. That's all I care about.
Yep.
Gym clothes on, go to the gym. That's it. That's the micro action.
Mine is to reach over and drink my pre-workout. Is if I can get that done, I know I'm getting up.
Well, and you were saying, when you were getting back into the gym after your injury,
yep,
Like you were just, what was it?
I just went. Like I would just put, like you said, put my gym clothes on. I go to the gym and I might do 2 workouts.
Well,
and
I
then
think
my knee would start pounding and I'm like, all right, I don't want to push it. And then the next day,
I think I remember a day where you were like, I went to the gym and just was like, no. And you walked, you like left immediately. And that's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I tried to go sit in the sauna.
And
it wasn't working. And I said, no, I'm leaving. I'm done. But I got
you still
habit every day of driving to the gym. And it just became, after, 2 or 3 weeks, really probably about 3 weeks, it became a routine where if I did miss the gym, I felt like I missed something. Right. And I was like, man, I feel bad now. Like
the micro action idea here is simply this. If you make one tiny decision, one tiny, easy decision,
it can snowball.
It can snowball and have compounding effects that will enrich your day. It could, if you enrich your day every day, you'll have an enriched week. If you enrich your week every year, or most weeks of the year, you'll have an enriched year, and you will start to feel successful. Success breeds success. I got to talk about a buddy. I think this was like tail end of last year, and we meet together once a month with a bunch of us, and he said, my goal for the next month is to work out for 1 minute every day. He was like, because who doesn't have 1 minute to like do 60 seconds of push-ups?
Right.
Like 1 minute. And now he was successful in it. He came back and he's like, I did it. And now he's up to like 5 minutes every day. Yeah. Right. Like he's getting better and it's happening. And these small shifts can have profound impact. So again, if I'm in a career where I realize, hey, you don't have to own your own business. You don't have to you could be a waitress. You could be someone that's working at you could work sales at, I don't know. Like I personally could probably have great conversations with people working as a sales rep for, Foot Locker.
Right.
Right. Like I could still have great conversations, but if I was in it, so just the tiny micro action, the tiny, simplest path, least resistant decision can have profound impact, a multiplication effect. And then the other side of the fence, like if I have some mountain in my way, like this job is actually keeping me from being fulfilled right now, maybe the micro action is, hey, I'm going to call a school and see about getting enrolled in this certificate program or degree program or whatever, so I can actually get a different job in a different career field. And it might take years.
Right.
But at least you're on a path working towards where your sole purpose can be.
Calling business owners and interviewing business owners and just kind of hearing their stories and networking with certain people in whatever you're passionate about, and just finding out how they got involved or how they got in, and and start taking those little steps, to go down that path.
I wrote down, if you're putting off travel for retirement, why not start now? The micro action might be as simple as calling your bank and saying, hey, I need a second savings account or a third savings account or whatever. Move $25 in it, so now you have a travel fund. Shop around for, get online, shop for some budget vacation that sounds fun for you. Maybe it's a long weekend. Maybe it's not very much. And then saying, okay, that's going to cost me $1,200. So I'm going to put together a saving strategy. I'm going to save I can save $100 a month. That's a year. Put that date, block it off, request time off for that vacation because you're going in 1 year.
Yep.
The micro action that kind of started all of this was the simple thing of just calling your bank account or calling your bank and opening a savings account, right? Simple micro actions. They have profound and a multiplication kind of impact. It can be very beneficial. I have a process that helps people peel back layers, and we can kind of put together this this mission statement, this why statement, getting to the depths of what your sole purpose is. And that is something that fills me up, helping people do that. You're literally making my day better if you give me the opportunity to help you discover that for yourself. So if you want to go through that process, just shoot us an email. We're here for you. You can hit us on email. You can call our phone. however you want, just to get a hold of us and let us know you would like to go through that process, and give us the opportunity to help you there. That's all I got. Josh, you got anything else?
Nope.
All right. Micro actions, word of the week. All right. Chew on it. Remember, there's no reset button at the end of life. Talk to you soon.
See you.
We hope you learned from our conversation today. It is important to us that you know this is for educational purposes and not intended to be considered specific advice for any individual listener. If something we discussed is relevant to you and you have questions of how it might be applicable to your specific situation, please reach out to your financial professional. Of course, we are happy to have further conversations with you regarding specific questions or applications to your individual financial situation. With that, here are a few disclosures. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and Harpeth Wealth Partners are separate entities from LPL Financial. The opinions voiced in this material are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision. All performance referenced is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Hypothetical examples presented are not representative of any specific investments. Your results may vary. With that, thank you, and we look forward to having you back. Take care.